All right, class. So this is the final part, section 5.3. In this case, you're going to notice that the trinomial is a little bit different than the last couple of examples that we did. If you're going to notice right away, in our previous examples, we did not have a coefficient for that first term right there. So that is a dead giveaway. This thing has a coefficient now. So what you're going to do here is you're going to figure out the factors of that one and the factors of the last one and see which combination gives you this. Now, if you were to do it that way, it would take you a long time, all right? So let's take a look at it. In our previous example, we said that there wasn't a GCF. If you take a look at this one, now they have GCFs in common. So you're not going to do factoring trinomials right away on this one. What you're going to do is you're going to factor out the GCF. In this case, the GCF is 3. So 3 goes into 3 once, so it's 1x squared, or just simply x squared. 21 divided by 3, that gives you 7, so that'll be 7x. And 30 divided by 3, that gives you positive 10. I wasn't supposed to put a parentheses there, so this is positive 10. So you should have ended up with x squared plus 7x plus 10. Make sure that you close the parentheses there. All right, so in this case, we needed to factor out a GCF first before we did anything at all. Now we're going to go ahead and factor out the trinomial. So we got 3, and we're going to break it apart into 2 binomials like we did on our previous example. And now we're going to break the x squared plus 7x plus 10. Once again, this is trinomial right there. So we did it like back then. We break apart the first term, which is x squared. The way we got x squared is by multiplying x and x. And we do the same thing for the last term. What are the factors of 10? So once again, you break apart the 10, remember. So in this case, it will be 1s times 10, 2 times 5. So the only pair that could possibly give you that 7, if you were to add or subtract, is the 2 and the 5. So we're going to go ahead and bring over the 2 and bring over the 5. So once again, 2 and 5. All right, so that takes care of the first and the last term, but now we take care of the sign. Remember, it's a positive, so we're going to use the positive chart here. Since it's a positive, so it'll be either both are positive or both are what? Negative. Since the middle one is positive, we're going to choose the positive pair. So both of these are going to be positive. And check it real quick. X times x, x squared. 2 plus 5, that gives you 7x. And 2 times 5 will give you the 10. So your final answer, including the GCF that you factored out at the beginning, is 3 parentheses x plus 2, x plus 5. So it's an additional step to what you did before. Let's try another example. So if you take a look at letter C right there, same thing. At the very beginning when we started trinomials, we didn't have a coefficient for that first term. So that's a dead giveaway right there. And we're going to have to factor out that coefficient. So we're going to go ahead and factor out the 4. So it goes once there, so it's 1x squared, just simply x squared. And 8 divided by 4, that'll give you negative 2. So this will be negative 2x. And then negative 96 divided by 4 will give you negative 24. All right. So once again, we need to break apart this trinomial, x squared minus 2x minus 24. So we go ahead and break it apart. Bring over the 4, and we're going to break apart the trinomial itself. So at this point, you should already be accustomed to this. So the x squared breaks into x and x. And we got to figure out the factor of 24 that'll give us a 2. Well, we do that real quick. So let's go ahead and do that. Factor of 24, you got 1 in 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. So the only pair that could possibly give you a 2, if we were to add or subtract, it would be the 4 and the 6. The other ones won't give you. So you have 4 here and you have 6 here. So that breaks apart the last term. But notice that your sign now is negative, which means that you're going to use the negative chart. So if you use the negative chart, that means one is positive, the other one is going to have to be negative. So one is positive, one is negative, and the way you're going to go ahead and do this is by simply taking a look at the middle one. Whatever that middle term is, the larger of those two carries that sign. So the 6 will carry the negative, and the other one will carry the positive. And if we check it real quick, x times x, x squared, 4 minus 6 does give us negative 2. 4 times negative 6 does give us negative 24. And that would be your answer right there. So once again, it's not a very difficult thing to do. All right, one more to close off this section. So this comes from your additional exercises. So once again, I've been using worksheet 5.3. If you haven't printed out, they're up there on Blackboard. And we're going to take a look at these additional exercises. We're going to take a look at number 7 right there. All right. So you notice once again right away that you have a coefficient for this one. So your question should always be, could I factor out the 5? Could I factor them from all 3 terms? And in this case, yes. So the GCF right there will be 5. So this will be 1x squared or simply x squared. 5 divided by 5. Then negative 40 divided by 5 is negative 8. So that will be negative 8x. And then 75 divided by 5 will be positive 15. So once again, all we did there was just factor out the GCF. Now we're going to go ahead and break apart the trinomial. So in this particular case, the x squared is going to break into x and x. And now we got to figure out the factor of 15. That gives us an 8. Well, let's take a look. 15. The ways you could give 15 by multiplying, 1 times 15. All right. And 3 times 5. So once again, if you were to add these pairs, these two, that will be 16. If you subtract them, as 14. So obviously that will not be the pair. If you add these two, it does give you 8. If you subtract them, it gives a 2. Now remember, we're still going to have to check with the signs. So once again, for right now, more than likely the 3 and the 5 will work. But at the end, it comes down to your signs also. The last term has a positive sign. So that means that you're going to choose a positive chart, which means that both of these factors, either both of them are going to be positive or both of them are going to be negative. Once again, how do you know which of these two are you going to choose? Well, take a look at the middle one. The middle one is negative. That means that you're going to choose the negative pair. So both of these are negative. Now it's time to check it to make sure that we end up with that trinomial. X times x is x squared. Negative 3 minus 5 does give you negative 8 if you collect them. And negative 3 times negative 5 does give you positive 15. So it does give you this thing again. If you want to go back to the original one, then redistribute the 5 into each of those terms. And it should give you the original one. Alright, so this concludes chapter 5 as far as factoring is concerned. There are 2 other sections that are optional, 5.4 and 5.5. Those are a little bit more involved, but since we have a limited time now, I'm going to leave those towards the end. Alright, Thank you.